We are live. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We've got Matt, and he's chosen this. There we stood and there we left, outside the flashing neon signs, with the smell of cheap cigars and the hopeless sweet perfume. His heart, it was reeling with the thrill of it all to do in only hours. He said, this is all yours. You can take it all. You can take it all away from where we left off. Living it all your way. If you stand in my shoes, if you do what I do, all the wages day. All the wages day. You go.
Yes.
That is a tune and a half, mate. Thank you so much for choosing that one.
Well done for getting that high, mate. Well done.
No, I'm stood on a little box here. So tell me, the first question I always ask my guests, why did you choose that song?
It's all to do with the wages. Who needs a wage, eh? I think I've been self-employed since 1999. So that whole idea of getting a regular wage is something that's quite alien to me. And I love Deacon Blue, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's all about making money, though, isn't it? And that's the thing. So we do make a little bit of money being self-employed, but it's a totally different kettle of fish. Being self-employed then, Matt, what does that mean to you?
The very first word that came to my head just then was the word freedom. I do like a bit of routine, but I'm happy to set my own routine as long as the work still gets done. But I do enjoy that sense of freedom. However, in that time, I said since 99, been self-employed. I had a job where I was a contractor and I had to be at a certain place at a certain time. So now fully self-employed, I kind of set my own hours, but at the same time, I have to deliver and I have to be there when I need to be there. So yeah, I mean, I might play golf occasionally during the week. Occasionally.
Yeah. But that's the beauty. It's all about that freedom. And I think that's something that you don't appreciate when you're employed. Because you've got the 9 to 5. And like you say, when you were, what were you doing when you were contracted?
I was a radio presenter.
Oh my goodness. So morning or breakfast or drive time?
Yeah, breakfast.
Oh my goodness. So every single morning you had to be in the studio at stupid o'clock. So you had to get up even stupider o'clock, if that's a word. Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, even though you're a contractor, I guess you get a bit of freedom because you finish by lunchtime, surely.
I mean, we'd be lucky if we got away by midday, 1 o'clock. But we had been there since 5 in the morning.
Yeah, that's crazy hours. That's crazy hours. You should bake cakes or something as well, because I believe bakers do the same sort of hours.
Baking. I used to have a friend he started work at midnight as a baker at Tesco. Yeah.
That's crackers. That's not good. That's not good for you. So you got a real job now where you can work real hours and goodness. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and also I need to know why you call yourself the journaling guy. You've got the 15-minute guy and the journaling guy here today.
Okay. Yeah, I know we're all about guys here. Actually, that's really, there's a lovely segue.
We worked this out, didn't we? We must have sat and planned for hours.
That was beautiful. Seamless. So the journaling guy came out of my other organization, which is called Who Needs Instructions. And basically, Who Needs Instructions is an organization that simply wants to get men talking more. Men are a little bit, and I'm generalizing here because there's some men that are excellent at this, but men are generally a little bit more emotionally constipated than our female counterparts. And I feel that we would be better off if we were a little bit more open and honest with each other, with our thoughts and feelings. So the journaling came from the position of, if men do struggle to talk to their men or their partner about what's going on inside their head, the first place they could start is by writing that stuff down. And that's where the journaling guy came from, basically.
Oh, perfect. And we did a show a while back where we talked about journaling. So if anyone's got any questions about that, we'll answer them. But I want to concentrate more on Who Needs Instructions, because you're right. Blokes do not talk. They bottle it all up. and I'm sure you know the statistics, but there's a high number of suicides for men. So come on, spill the beans.
Well, ironically, Sunday was International Men's Day, and they have a different theme every year. And the theme this year was zero suicide. Now, that is a bold claim, but
Yeah,
listen,
absolutely.
if we can get closer to that, that would be phenomenal. But those statistics are awful. Unfortunately, men account for 75% of all suicides. So not that it's a competition. We don't want to bring it back to 50-50, but we just want to eradicate suicide all over. And it is my belief that by talking with each other, we'll find out that, our fellow man is probably going through some very similar stuff to ourselves. And if you do that, you've got that brotherhood, that companionship, and you've got that vulnerability, which is a word that men dislike immensely. But it's something that I think has served me well throughout my life. And just being able to share those situations with a fellow man and realize that you're not in this alone. Other people do think the same way as you, and that that's going to prevent you going to what I call crisis point. And I want to get to guys before they get to crisis point. I consider myself very lucky that people reach out to me very often, and it's either on behalf of somebody else or potentially and rarely on behalf of themselves. But people do go, look, I've got this person in my life. They're really struggling. What can they do? And that's brilliant that people come to me for that. But I want to get to people before that. I want to get to guys and make them realize that if we can talk, we probably won't get to the point where we really do. We're crying out for help and support. So that's the whole aim of it.
Matt, you've touched a nerve there. Emma, bless you. Bless you. It's a tough one, Matt, isn't it? But this just shows that it's so close. I know Emma; she lives in the town, and I didn't know. Bless you, Emma.
Yeah, Emma. I mean, first of all, Emma, thank you for sharing that with us. That's awful news, and unfortunately, it does go on. It's quite common. I had a situation this week where the least unlikely of people spoke to me and said they're in a bad place. Because we do hide it. We, as in men, we hide it. We mask it. We cover it up with other things. And we mustn't be judgmental about this, because there's a lot of people that say, and I'm going to use a big word here that even I don't understand, socioeconomic affects people. Now, that basically is looking at, okay, well, the people that aren't as socially well off in this world are the people who are more likely. In my experience, men in positions of, well, I was going to call them positions of power, but guys that are running successful companies are really struggling with this stuff as well. So, it's not exclusive. But if we can get guys to open up and make them realize that it's okay to talk, and this is a genuine offer. If anybody is watching this now or in the future, my email address, info@whoneedsinstructions, my contact details are on the website. If you need someone to talk to, I will listen. Simple as that.
Yeah. So if you're watching this or you're watching it on playback, then there's some links and you'll be able to go into that. And if you're listening on the podcast, then there's a load of links at the bottom of the podcast. So yeah, please reach out to Matt. And yeah, he will talk. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. We always have the biggest hugs when we catch up, don't we, mate?
Mate, and I love that. I've just literally come from a meeting with an organisation, a charity in Exeter, and we're looking at starting a dads group. And I think there's a generation, and I'll say there's a generation behind us, Ashley, that are a little bit better at that kind of stuff. Our generation is becoming better at it. But I talk about the dads in particular because it's about bonding with your children. Now, I'm very fortunate to still have my 87-year-old father in my life. And that man has changed so much during his life. Imagine that, this is a guy who was born in 1936, I think it was. So he's been through a war. And he lived in London during that war. And I've been into the air raid shelter that he used to go to at the bottom of his garden as a kid.
Wow.
And that man still, to this day, when I see him, gives me a massive kiss and hugs me and tells me that he loves me. Now, that's not the man that I knew when I was 5-10 years old. He has definitely changed. And for a man who's so stuck in his ways to be able to transition and now be really open and honest with me, tell me he loves me, kisses me every time he sees me. I mean, that's just beautiful. And I've had people go, oh, that's weird, you kiss your dad. Mate, I will carry on kissing my dad till either of us is no longer on this planet, because that is a bond. And I want to make sure that new dads, and this group we're talking about starting, that you're bonding with your children. You're cuddling those children. You're making sure that there is an unscientific bond that you have by being with that newborn child that is so precious. And children develop so quickly over their early years that it's vital that you get that bond in place really, really soon. I've gone off at a bit of a tangent, but there's lots of things that men have to deal with, and I want to try and tackle them all for some reason.
and that, but look, this is the whole idea of a podcast, a live show, and to have a little natter about this sort of thing. We've got a few comments coming in. And Andy's saying it's so good to hear this conversation. And Emma's saying she had few experience like that with her own parents. And I think that's the sad thing, isn't it? Our parents, because my father's a few years behind your dad, but not far. So we grew up in that generation where it was stiff upper lip, boys aren't allowed to cry, and all that sort of thing. And I think when I became a parent, I sort of like, I want to be more of a dad or more of a mum, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but it's about being more of a mum. It is about being a parent.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've got a very strong. I can't think of the word. I'm in touch with my female side, and so and I've lived in a house with 3 women for the last 30 years. So I'm bound to be in touch with that part of myself, and so I love being a dad, and I still cuddle my kids today, and now my grandson's come along, and it's a totally different bond, and it's great to see him with his dad and how they behave together, and I think that's what we need to do. So this Dad's Club, tell us a little bit more about this.
It should be starting in early January. It's going to be in the Exeter area. I'm working with the brilliant charity Home Start, who are phenomenal. They look after young families, but they've even identified themselves that they offer amazing support for young families, mostly mums, and they're lacking a little bit of dad support. So we're trying to work together on this. We're going to run a fortnightly Thursday evening club where dads come together for maybe a little bit of a break from, being a dad, but also to bond, to talk to the other dads and go, oh God, they can share war stories. They can share nappy changing stories. They can share the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we just want to create a safe space again for guys to come together, sit down, have a drink, water, coffee, tea, beer, whatever it is, but just have a bit of bonding time with other guys. And again, realize if you think it's a lonely time, or your partner may be going through some postnatal depression, things like that, it's a place to look for support, and you'll meet another guy who potentially his partner's going through the same thing, and you can be there and support each other whilst also supporting your partner. So yeah, it's just creating a safe space, which is a real kind of naff term, but I can't think of anything better to call it, that we can come together. And I'm going to be like the facilitator, the one who sort of sits there and tries to make sure that Johnny in the corner there is talking to Barry over there and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just got to lead to good things, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, like an agony uncle, aren't you?
I suppose so. And just on that point, yeah, I'm talking for Billy O, and I can talk, and I was a broadcaster. But one of the most important thing we can do as guys is when someone else is talking, is to shut up and listen, because and I heard this from a woman yesterday. When your partner, if you have got a female partner and she's talking to you, she just wants you to listen. She doesn't want you to find solutions. She doesn't want you to fix that issue. Just be aware it's going on. And I would say that is the majority of women. And we as men tend to go, right, well, if that's the problem, here I'm going to try and fix that problem. And I'll promise you 99 times out of 100, that doesn't need fixing. Your partner wants to be heard. So listen, 2 of these, 1 of these.
Yeah, absolutely sound advice. I think as a man, our job is to fix things, isn't it? Isn't
It
it?
has been, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's sort of like, right, okay, so you need a shelf putting up in the kitchen. I can fix that. I've just hurt my knee on my bike, Dad. Get a plaster. I can fix it. But yeah, it's sort of like, no, just listen. I don't want a solution. I just want to vent. I want to reach out, whatever. Some great comments coming in. Thanks ever so much for this, Andy, getting involved with this. Yeah, you know where I come from with 3 sisters. It's very difficult to make friends as a male at some point. I don't know when it is, but it happens. Male loneliness is a big deal. And this is one of the questions I've got for you, Matt. When you're at school, you've got your mates and you run around with your shorts on playing football in the park or what have you. But what about when you get older? Because you go to work and you know, you might work remotely. You might work in a different town or city. You might have a huge commute. How do guys get to catch up with other guys?
Andy makes such a good point there. There is something called the loneliness epidemic amongst men, because we're a lot rubbish at keeping in touch. We're not great at it. I've read a book recently by a great author. He's called Max Dickens. It's called Billy No Mates. And it just basically comes from he got to 33 years old, asked his girlfriend to marry him. She straight away went, I've got all these bridesmaids and that sort of stuff. And he didn't know who was going to be his best man because he didn't have a really close friend. So yeah, it's really difficult. Like you say, at school, we bond. As a parent, we tend to, if we can, mix with other parents because we might see them at different organizations, the kids clubs, picking up from school if we get the privilege to do that. So you get that bond. As we get older, it becomes harder. My advice is to be the Sherpa, do the heavy lifting, reach out time and time again. Rarely will a guy not want to come out because he wants to be spiteful to you. In other words, you will get let down. I get let down by my friends all the time. They're not doing it on purpose. You have to keep plugging away. Grow a bit of thick skin about the fellow went, yeah, we'll sort that coffee out. We'll have a beer soon. Keep plugging away. Keep asking. Because the guy that kind of ignores you is probably the guy that needs it the most. So we have to grow a thicker skin. I've done this. My mates, some of them have been terrible. And it really, really peed me off at times. But I got over it because they're not, the way I got over it is they're not doing it on purpose. They're doing it just because we're lazy and we're busy. We work. We've got wives. We've got children. We've got partners. We've got whatever. There's lots of things that get in the way. And the decline of things like social meeting places, like public houses, like the clubs. Maybe we did Boy Scouts or whatever. Maybe we played football, cricket, rugby. Those things as we get older become harder to do. So we're in less social situations. So I implore you to try and find, if it's a book club, something like that, try and find scenarios where we create those social situations because they're so important.
So that would be like LinkedIn Local in Sidmouth this Thursday. Yeah.
Now I would come if I wasn't at the conference in Manchester, Ashley. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a great lead in. So before we find out about the conference, if you are local to Sidmouth, every 4th Thursday of every other month, so it's this month, not December, but we'll be back in January, at 7:30 a.m. at the Balfour, we meet up, we have a little chat, we catch up with men and women. It's a great little session, isn't it? And you finish.
Are to die for.
They are, aren't they? But we're finished by 9, so you can get to work. And there's no regimes. If you can't make it till 8 and you've got to leave at quarter to 9, it really doesn't matter. Emma's coming, so that's cool. So you're not coming because you're going to a conference. What's this conference, Matt?
The conference is the Men and Boys Coalition Conference, which is in Manchester. I wasn't going to go because Manchester's a long way and hotels.
It's miles for us, isn't it?
Yeah, hotels are expensive, travel's expensive. And then I thought a little bit laterally, and I was very cheeky, and I reached out to my male cousin who lives just outside of Liverpool and said, it's really cheeky. Can I come and stay for a couple of days? It'd be great to catch up, but I'm going to go to a conference in the middle. And you know what? He went, yeah, of course, it's fine. I'm going to buy them a Chinese takeaway on Thursday evening when I get back as a way of saying thank you. But yeah, the Men and Boys Coalition Conference is all about creating a plan around men's health. Quite rightfully so, there is a plan for women's health. Government have realised, that the women's bodies go through way more changes than men. So that plan is in place and it's beginning to work. There's so much more awareness about menopause than there ever has been, which is fantastic. For men, there's a health issue because a lot of us go, oh, I don't need to go to the doctor. See that little mark there?
Yep.
I only see it when I do LinkedIn and Zoom calls and stuff like that. And I didn't know what that was. And my partner said to me, Matt, can you go and get that checked out? I booked an appointment with a doctor. I sent them a photo. They said, come and see me. Luckily, it's just a skin discoloration from probably not wearing enough sun cream on my bald head. But I went and got something about that done. I didn't just go, it will be okay. A lot of blokes do that. So we need to create this plan around men's health. It's going to go through government. We're lobbying them. And that's what this conference is all about. We need to get men to be a bit more proactive about looking after ourselves. So then if we want to be that manly man, we can look after the other people in our life as well. We've got to come first.
Yeah, it's putting on the face mask in the aeroplane sort of scenario again, isn't it?
What do you mean by that? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So when the oxygen mask drops down, put it on yourself first. Don't help anybody else. Get yourself.
When you said face mask, I thought you meant the thing that makes I can go to sleep.
Yeah, your brain is just brilliant. If you're listening on the podcast, Matt just pointed to a little red mark on his head. That's the thing. We need to be told, don't we? If it wasn't for your partner, you'd be oblivious.
I would probably, yeah. I just say she sees it because she looks at me every day, poor woman. But I see it when I do Zoom calls, and I thought, what is that? And I had no idea. Listen, it could have been something worse. It isn't, but at least I now know.
Yeah, and talking about mental health, I got a mate of mine who did the sample for bowel cancer recently. I don't know if you've had that test come through because you are of that age, mate. I won't say what you've got to do, but it's the other end. And they found something, and he had to go in, and then they found cancer. And I saw him last week, and so I saw him beginning of the summer, and he was sort of like, "Oh my goodness, you haven't heard the news." Oh, da, 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 da. But he was very upbeat, very positive, and the story is, go and get yourself checked. When that sample thing comes through the post, just do it, because he's in remission. He's had the chemo. He's right as rain. And when I saw him on, I think it was last Friday, biggest smile in the world. And this is because he's sort of like, right. And when it came to me, I've got to do it, but so many people don't.
Yeah, my chosen charity is one called the Chestnut Appeal. They're based in Plymouth, and they care for men's cancers. And one of those being prostate, of course. They're actually opening up a brand new unit at Brotherhood Hospital on the 1st of December. I'm going to go down to the opening. But yeah, it's just getting men to just be aware. If that rumble, I know so many people that have passed away, and people who've had partners who've passed away, not through ignorance. It's more through, well, I'll be okay. I soldier on, and then that stomach pain is not what you thought it was. It was actually something more serious. You're not wasting the doctor's time. They will not say that. Okay, please, just if there's a niggle, go and get it sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, the time's just gone.
I know.
What haven't I asked you? What else do you want to share?
Who Needs Instructions is my community interest company. By that, I mean it's a not-for-profit. It's there to get guys together. I run lots of different events, from breakfasts. I've got some dinners coming up soon. We go walking. There's a night hike this Friday. There are a few places left, but we've got a dozen guys already booked in. We're doing a little hike across Dartmoor. It'll end in a pub. We've got a professional guide who is phenomenal. He's going to tell us myths and legends from Dartmoor. He's just a smashing fella. All the events I run are on Eventbrite. So if you just look for Who Needs Instructions in the Exeter area on Eventbrite, because it's just me at the moment and I can only cover Exeter, the surrounding areas. We're getting to Plymouth, we're getting to Barnstable, we're getting nationwide eventually, which is why I'm going to a conference in Manchester this week, because I want to spread the word about what we're doing. But yeah, please get involved. I have a membership as well. Membership gets you discounts. It gets you in the WhatsApp group. It gets you first choice of all the events. Some of the events are free if you're a member as well. So if you want to get in touch, info@whoneedsinstructions.com is my email address. All the details are on whoneedsinstructions.com website. And if you just want to have a little chat, then clearly I'd be delighted to do that.
No, absolutely fantastic. You got any webinars or anything online we can look at in the coming weeks, months?
In terms of journaling, yes, I have a live journaling session coming up next Thursday lunchtime. And I have a journaling course which you can take at your own leisure via the Journaling Guy website as well. So those are the things that I have come up. If you're a member of Who Needs Instructions, we do two live Zoom calls a month as well. So you get to come on for half an hour. And again, it's just blokes. If they can't physically get out, we can get together on screen, and they are literally a conversation. There's no agenda. I'm not going to ask you awkward questions. You don't have to open up, but you can just be there with a bunch of other blokes. We can tell jokes. I might play the odd game if the conversation's running a bit dry. It never does. But yeah, there are situations where I'm just trying to create conversations amongst men, and that seems to be working. I've had some lovely comments and people say, I'm so glad you're doing this, and that's all I need. Although it would be nice to be able to pay the rent at the same time.
Sure. So do you do talks and speeches and things like that commercially?
I do, yeah, and I'm beginning to develop a corporate side to this. Obviously, I look after men. The corporate side will be about looking after your workforce, because that really is there to help me pay for the organization. I don't take any money out of this. I don't take a salary. I try and earn my money from the journaling side of things. Well, I say try, I do, but I don't take money out of Who Needs Instructions. If it gets to the point where it's big enough where I can draw a salary from it, I absolutely will. But right now, that's not realistic. But yeah, I gave a talk last week and I was approached by somebody afterwards. He's got a venue. So look out for some physical men's events getting together in the East Devon area in the not too foreseeable future.
No, absolutely fantastic. Matt, it's always a pleasure. It is always an absolute pleasure. Good luck at the conference this week. What are you most looking forward to seeing at the conference?
I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the talks, because it is about how do we create this men's health and how do we get it into government. But, you know, again, my beautiful, lovely, wonderful better half, she said to me the other day, have you got a strategy? Are you going there with a reason? And I was like, you know, I hadn't even thought about that. She works in the corporate world, which is why she's so complimentary to what I do. So I'm now writing a strategy about, right, what do I want to get out of being at that conference? Because it is, you know, it's kind of 2.5 days out of my working day and a lot of traveling. It's still going to cost me some money, and the ticket price and everything, and the cost of a Chinese dinner for my cousin and his wife, of course, as my way of paying my lodgings. But yeah, so I need to make sure that I get something out of this, and it's going to be about taking some business cards along and making sure that people realize, you know, this thing exists. Can I get some grant funding? You know, is there some money? Is there some sponsorship? So all sorts of stuff I'll be looking for. But yeah, just watch this space. I ain't going away anytime soon.
No, I love what you do. I love watching what you do as well. So absolutely superb. I'm just going to give a shout out to Tom, who's on next week. He's a creative coach for Creative Rebel, so looking forward to having a chat with him. And next week I'm also doing my LinkedIn Daily Habit Workshop, which you've been on, Matt.
Yes.
And I've got a brand new platform, so there's a special launch price of just £100. There's still a few seats left if anyone wants to come on that. Matt, I normally finish off with a question about advice to your 16-year-old self, but we've done that before. So how about, what would you when you were a young kid at school, primary school, what were you thinking to do when you left school?
At primary school?
Yes. I know it's a long time ago to remember, but can you remember?
I honestly, at that age, I don't know. Okay, stuntman.
You wanted to be a stuntman?
I wanted to be a stuntman.
Is that because you had a little Evel Knievel?
I did have that Evil Knievel. Yeah. That was awesome. That was a great tie.
No knuckles on your hand, but what great fun.
I ruined the hallway in my mum and dad's house. The wooden hallway was ruined with Evil Knievel skid marks.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Matt, on that note, thank you very much indeed. Thank you to everybody for all your lovely, lovely comments. Emma, I will see you Thursday. And thanks very much indeed. See you all next week. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ash.
You get out what you put in. Never gonna